Welcome back, guys. This is another video where we are going to create an job portal application website, right? Simply just example I'm taking for the Naukri.com. So what are the things we have to implement when we talk about the job portal application, right? So front end will be Angular. HTML I have already created, that I have already shared in my repository that I will be posting in my video description. You can download the HTML and then you can use that HTML in your Angular project, right? So let's just discuss what things we are going to need when we say about job portal application. So let's say we have an application where multiple companies will register, right? So I will show you the API also. So on freeminiproject.com, you will find the APIs. In that, let it load. So many APIs are here, but out of that, ecom, Jira, job portal. So these are the APIs which you are going to need. So many APIs are there because job portal will have so many scenarios. So for that, number of APIs are there, right? So when we talk about job portal application, there will be two types of user. First is employer, right? Then we will be job seeker, right? So employer means number of companies who are hiring for any job, right? So what employer is going to do? He will create a job post, right? So whatever the requirement he has, he will create a job post for that requirement, right? Then that job post will be visible to job seeker, right? He can see all job post, right? Then once he see the job post, he can apply to it, right? By reading the description, whether that job is suitable for him or not, he will apply. So apply, right? Once job seeker apply, that application will be received by the employer for that particular job. Can see all job applications, right? Then he can make that shortlisted, whatever the status he can see. And what, let's say employer selected that particular job application as shortlisted, so job seeker also can see the status of the application, right? So this is an overall flow. Again, the basic main things like registration and login page will be there, right? So we will have two roles, employer and the job seeker. So registration will be available for employer also and the job seeker also. Then obviously login page will be single only. Based on the role, you will see some different things, right? So these are the various API we are going to have. So now if you see the template, this is going to be our landing page. Here, from here, we can have login and the registration button, right? From login and the register, we will open the login page and the registration page. Then you have a search box simply over here by which you can enter a skill or anything, let's say software developer, marketing, anything, whatever the job title you are looking for, location and number of year of experience you are looking for, right? Once you click on search, it will navigate to the job page. So this is a job page. So here you can see we will have filters over here and all the related jobs will be displayed like this. Currently, this is just a static, right? And if we click on the particular job, it will open a job detail page. Here you can see particular job detail page is open. If user is already logged in, we will see only apply button, or if he is not logged in, a login to apply button will be visible over here, right? So just three basic pages I have created for now, right? So let's start with the Angular first. So project I have already created over here. Let me just close the another one. This is for the template I am being using, but we are going to need it little bit, right? So project I have already created, just the basic empty project is there. I have installed the Bootstrap and the FontAwesome also. So next thing we need to add Bootstrap and the FontAwesome link into angular.json. So in angular.json, in style, we are going to add that, right? So let me just format it. That's it, right? Then we are going to run the application for now. So ngs, let it run. Now let's discuss the component, what components we are going to need. So component. So we are going to need login component, then registration component we are going to need, then landing page, right? Where we are going to show all the means this page. This is the landing page, right? So let's call it as a landing page or a landing page only. Okay. Then second component will be once user click on search, he will land to this page. That will be jobs page. So jobs page, then job detail page. Job detail page means once I clicked on a particular job, it will open this page, right? Where I will show all the major information or whatever the job description that particular job has, I will show it, right? So that will be job detail page. These are the components which are needed for the website. But one more component we are going to need for the employer. Once employer register and he logins, he will need a page from where he will create a job, right? So for employer, let's say, or one for employer extra component we are going to need is create job page and job listing page, right? Same as for job seeker as well. We need to see, as let's say I have logged in as a job seeker, I will apply to the multiple jobs, right? But I need to see somewhere like what are the status of my applications, whatever the jobs I have applied. I just need to see the status of all that, right? So for job seeker, we will create component that will be, let's say, my jobs, right? So in this component, we will show the list of applied jobs and with the status, what the current status is, right? So these are the various components we are going to need, right? Now, so let's just create those components. I will just create one component first in front of you, then you can create all the components like that. So folder structure, just in the app folder, I will create a folder like pages. Inside that, I will create all the component, right? So first component I will create, then I will just keep all the part. So ng generate component, first will be login. Okay. So login component I have created. So once you create the component, 4 files will be created and 1 file will be updated. That is app module, right? Basic thing. You can see 4 component has been created and 1 file has been updated. So whatever the component you have created, that will be added to the declaration section in our app module. So like that, I will create the rest of the component. So I will just skip that part now. So if you can see, I have created all the components. So as we have discussed, we are going to name that landing page, right? So instead of landing, it is now home page. Home will make more sense, right? So all the components I have created in the app model, also all the imports are being automatically added. And in the declaration section, you can see all the component has been successfully added. Next step, we are going to obviously need the services. So in app folder, I will create a folder that will be service. Right. In that service, I will just create a one default service that let's call it as a ng generate service, and let's say job. Okay. So just one service I will create, and in that service only I will keep all my API calls. So this service I'm creating, ng generate S stands for service, and then the service name, that is job. So in service folder, you can see job service has been added, right? So pages is done, service is done. Now in the app component, next thing is like before app component, first we need to create the routing, right? Routes also. So this is an empty routes we get when we create an empty project, right? So here we need to create the routes. Now, first route I will create is for what do we say? Home page, right? Because that is going to be my landing page. So home component will be login component. Sorry, home component. Then all the components, all the routes I will create like this only, right? So I have created all the routes for all the component: login, register, jobs, job detail, new job, job listing, and my jobs. So these are the all routes which I have created. Let's save. Now routes are created. After that, we need a default route also. So default route, just a shortcut, like you can add empty route over here, path, it will be empty. Then if path is empty, we are going to redirect to which path? If we don't have anything in the URL, where you should navigate? So we are going to navigate to home, right? Then path match property we are going to need, and the option will be full, right? So this is a default route we are going to need. Then again, wildcard route also you can create, but wildcard route should be created at the end. Means if any URL user type which we don't have, it will redirect to this. So path, inside that you need to add 2 star. This is nothing but wildcard route, and you will redirect to home component. If any component, if user types any URL and that URL route is not there, so it will land to the home page only. So 2 extra routes we have created, default route and the wildcard route. Let's save it. So our app routing module file work is done. Now, next thing is in our app component. Now, this is the basic code we get. So here we are going to have a navbar. So as I have seen you the template, as I have shown you. So this is my navbar template, right? So let's go to the, here in HTML, this is a nav. I will copy it and I will paste it over here. Let's save. Let me check if I have run the application. Yeah. So it is running on the localhost 4200. Let's see how does it look. Yes, so navbar is visible. Thus the missing is this Naukri app logo. Let me just add that in my asset folder. All the images should go into your asset folder, right? So images, I will just copy it from here, and this image will go over here. Copy, paste, right? Now, here we need to show that image, right? So instead of images, now it will be assets/naukri.com. Let's see if we can see the image. Yeah. So you can see image is visible. Now we need image. This navbar is done, but whatever, let's say we click on jobs. So we need to navigate to that, right? So for that, we are going to need RouterOutlet, and that will be below the navbar. So I will just create a container. Void, and inside that I will have RouterOutlet. So RouterOutlet is responsible to show the activated route component, right? So anywhere, any application, whenever you create the navbar, now before navbar, you should have a RouterOutlet, because once user clicks on the particular navigation link, that component should be rendered into the application. So this is the place where that component will be rendered. Let's save. Now on the jobs, let's just try to, now we have created a jobs component, right? So instead of href, it will be RouterLink. And for RouterLink, we need to pass the link of the jobs component. So that will be jobs. So this route name will be passed on over here, right? So let's save and check if it is opening that particular component. By default, home component is opening, right? If I click on jobs, you can see job component is loaded, right? So our navigation is properly working. One thing is, here I have just added some body background color is there. So this I will add in my app component to the container fluid. And what are the CSS I'm going to need? I have kept that over in this particular CSS. So I will copy this and put it in a global.css. That will be style.css, because these CSS are going to needed over all the application. Right. So some background color is there. Now, navbar has a white color, right? And remaining application will have some gray color. Right. Now, first we are going to create, we will need a login and the registration form, right? because once user register, like we have two types of user, employer and the job seeker. So let's check registration API for first. So you can see when we say we are going to register as an employer, so we have one API that is add new employer. So add new employer, whenever whenever an employer is going to create an account in our job portal. So these are the things we are going to ask him. Employer ID will be primary key, so you don't have to send it. Company name you are going to ask, email ID, mobile number, company address, state, GST number, logo also. So these are the things we are going to need. So in the registration component, now we are going to need at least two, what do we say? Registration component is the one, right? But that same component we are going to use for job seeker as well and the employer also. We will just make that UI dynamic. So let's open the registration component. Now in registration component, we are going to create a form. So again, container I'm creating. Right, in that container, we will simply just design a form. So we will create a row, div class call for, then I will need a label. Let's say what are the things we are going to need, that forms, that fields we are going to design, company name, right? So company name, then we will need a text box. So input type, Bootstrap class we are going to add, that is form hyphen control placeholder, enter company name. Right. So like that, we are going to create the form. Let me just get some proper design. So what I have done is I have simply just Google student registration form in Bootstrap. So I have just got this design. So I will use this design. So let's copy. Instead of writing everything, just try to Google it. Right. Everything is available over there. You just have to use that. Just format. Now on click of registration in the app now bar, we should navigate over here. So RouterLink registration you route, that is register route. Let's save and see if our registration page is coming proper. If I click on register, you can see registration page is coming, but it has some padding. Let's see from where it is coming. We don't have it over here. Container fluid is there. I think because of that it is coming. Let me just see. Right. So after making some changes, our registration form is looking like this, right? So you can see whatever the fields we are going to need for the registration API, for that I have created the simple form. So HTML is pretty simple. Just I have used that example and simply I have added the controls, right? So you can see simply text box is there. Now, so this is an employer registration form. So for that, we have an API that is this. So let's just try it out, execute. Right. So this is an complete API. Now, once we click on the register, we need to make an API call. So to make an API call, first thing we are going to do is in our app module, we need to add HTTP client module. To make the API call, we need HTTP client module over here. So for that, we need import statement. So that will be Angular /common/ HTTP, and module will be HTTP client module. Right. One more import we are going to need, that is forms module, because we are going to use ng model, right? So forms module is we are going to need an HTTP client module. So two things we have did, HTTP client module and forms module we have added in the import section of our app module, right? This is just for the initial phase. Next thing, we are going to need this object, we need to create the object, right? So let's copy this object in component.ts now. So employee register employer obj:any, right? So you can create class or interface, but it will increase the time. That's why I'm creating here only with any, but you should create the object with class or the interface, right? So employee object I have created. Now this employer object, we need to bind it to all the controls, right? What are the elements we have? Now you can see our form is in the form tag. So wherever we bind ng model, name attribute will be mandatory now. So and square bracket round bracket ng model equal to, now we need to bind employer object dot. Now this is going to be common thing. So again, one more thing, name is equal to. So this is going to be common thing. So I will just copy and paste it in all the text boxes just to save the time. ID we are not going to need. So let's just replace that. Then we just have to bind the properties only. Right. So let's just bind the properties now. Let me just open it on the side window so that we can access this pretty quick. Nice. So first company name we have to bind, same property name over ng model and the name property. Then email ID, name also email ID, mobile number. Like this, you need to bind all the properties. Phone, here also same. The company address is at the end. So whenever we deal with addresses now, try to create text area for that, right? Then pin code, state, and city. What else is remaining? GST number and logo. So whenever company is getting registered, we should ask company for something specific, right? So considering Indian market, we are asking GST number so that we can say like it is kind of a unique thing every company will have, right? Let's save now. So we have created object and we have bind that object with all the properties it had to the form. Next thing is, on the save, we are going to make the API call. So before making API call, in the API, we have created service, right? So in that, we just need to create an API call function. So for that, we just need to create dependency injection of the HTTP client. So private HTTP:/HTTP client, right? Here we need to create a function that will be register employer, opening, closing. And for this function, we are going to get the object from the component. So obj::any. Now here what we are going to return this dot HTTP API call will be post round bracket double quote. For post API, two parameters will be there, URL and the object. So URL will be this, right? So this will be URL. This will go over here, right? So now in all the API call, this is constant, right? This up till this, it will be constant. So I will store that in a variable API and point :string is equal to, so that our code will look properly. And this I will bind it as an over here plus this, right? Now this API call is done. Now we just need to call this API, call this function into our component, right? So first we need to create again object of our service. So constructor round bracket private. Now we need to create object of service. So job : job service, right? Now we need to create function save, create or register. Now here this dot job dot register employee, and we need to pass our object. So the object will be this dot employee object dot subscribe result colon any arrow function. And if you see the response of the API call, you will get to see in all my API, this is object I will return. And in an object, message, result, and data will be the properties I will return. So result is the property which will allow us to know like API call has been success or not, right? Data is inserted or not. So if result is true, so if res dot result is true, we will see like if we can show the alert box like registration success, or what the message also you will get, like you can see username will be and everything you are getting. So message only we can show. So instead of this static res dot message, right? Else whatever the message we are going to get, same message I will follow it over here, right? Just in every API call, you need to have this structure, right? If result is true, if success, do something, if not success, do some things, right? Now this function I have to call on my button click. So click event, this function I will call. Let's just test it now. Right, let's see what are the data we have in currently. That will be with get employer. Let's try it out, execute. Let's see what existing data we have. So currently 1, 2, 3, okay, up to 6 employee ID 6 we have the data. Let's try Wipro, company name, let's say info.com, mobile number, let's add dummy mobile number, let's add a dummy phone number, right? Company logo URL, let's just see Wipro logo. We are not allowing user to upload the image. We can simply use the logos or images we have over here. Open in new image. Why it is opening as base64? Let's see if we get the URL. All base64 opening. Let's try this. Yeah, so this image is available. So image will be over here. Then GST number, let's add. Let's say Wipro VI 0099, right? Then city, let's say Pune, state MAH, pin code, right? Some basic detail in Jewadi, phase 2, some address will be there. Now let's open the network tab and let's see on click of register API call is success or not. On click of register, yes, so you can see registration success, username will be your GST number and password will be GST number plus pin code. So automatically username and password is getting generated, right? So if you can see in the payload, whatever the object, whatever the form we have filled, that object we have created over here, that is the object we have sent to our API. And in response, we have got the result true and employer ID 7. So now if I execute this again, get all employer, you can see the latest created employer. You can see employee ID, Wipro has employee ID, employer ID has 7, that is a primary key, right? So our registration part is done. That is just for the employer. Now next part is registration for job seeker, right? So same component we are going to using. So for job seeker also we have a registration, right? So rather than creating another component for job seeker registration, we can use the same component, right? So now we just need a checkbox over here, or we can add a button like we can ask while registration, we can ask, are you a job seeker or the employer, right? So for that, At the top, I will be just adding a button. So here, dot row, dot call 12, and here I will add buttons. Or instead of that normal, we will use that button group. So this I will use just to shuffle the UI. Are you a job seeker or register as an employer? Right. So let's just save. Let's just add text center so that it will align in a center. Right. So here you can see we have got two buttons. Now we have got two buttons, but once I click on job seeker, only that job seeker form will be available. And if I click on employer, this form will be visible. And that button should be highlighted. Wherever I click, that should be highlighted. So for that, we just have to create one variable. So variable name, let's say, is job seeker colon boolean. Any variable you can create just to say like which button was clicked. Right. Now this we will use it over here. So click function, and in the click function, this button is for job seeker. So we can make this variable true over here, and same like that, we can make this variable false over here. So rather than creating event, I can simply change the value in HTML only. Right. Now, these classes should be dynamic. Now, removing this, instead of this static class, I will have ng class over here. Class. If this variable is true, then we will have this class, otherwise this. So btn hyphen primary and btn hyphen success. Right. So same class, same ng class will be on the second button as well. This static thing we need to remove. Only static class will be button only. So let's save and check. All functionality should look like this. Right. Why both are visible? Okay. Here we have to add not over here. Right. So if you can see, wherever I click, that buttons get active. Right. So first part is done. Now we know with this variable, we get to know like this is an the registration, the user is registering as an employee or a job seeker. So we can just create an extra div. And we can just use ngif to hide and show. If this variable is true, means this div will be responsible to show the job seeker form, or else if it is false, then our employer registration form. So this is now nothing but our employer registration forms. Let me just put that inside that div. That's it. So this div will be inside this div, right? Job seeker form. For now, just for testing, I'm putting that text. Let's click on save and check. So as you can see, by default, job seeker is on. So we can get that div. If I click on register as an employer, so you can see we have got that employee form, right? Now, let's see what things we are going to have when we register as a job seeker. So add new job seeker. So if you can see, when I want to register as a job seeker, so many information is there, right? Because for job seeker, we need to ask their skill, their previous work experience and everything. But for registration purpose, we can just send this object, full name, email ID, mobile number, and experience status, right? And resume URL also. So the basic things we can ask from the user. So let me just copy paste some things from here. It will go over here. Now, just like the registration form, registration object, we need this object also. So I will copy this field. Not needed, like you need to have all the object. So in here, just like employee object, I'm going to create job seeker object colon any equal to properties and ending. Right. So basic things I am taking. Right. So this job seeker object, we need to bind it now. Instead of employer object, it will be now job seeker object. Let me just copy paste. What are the properties we have that we need to full name? First text box we are going to use, that is for full name. Then email ID. Same thing is there. Then we have mobile number. That is also same. Then we have experience status and the resume URL. So experience status. Instead of text box, we can ask it, we can make it a drop down. So select OPT, option value empty, selected and disabled. Select experience. Are you a fresher or experience? So two options we can add. Fresher and same value will be over here. Just like that, second option will be for experience. Experienced. Right. Now this ng model will go on the drop down. And name property also mandatory. So that's it. Class also we are going to need on the drop down. Right. So, and one more thing is remaining, that is for resume upload. Right. So let's just copy this. After this row, we can put that. Now here we just need to provide the URL or anything. So we are not allowing user to upload or anything. So just whatever the URL he has, we can ask him to register that. So here it will be resume URL. Right. Again, we will need that save button, just like here. Let me just copy. Register as job seeker. So another function I have created that I have to bind it over here. So the register function was for employer and register as a job seeker separate function. So let's save and check. Right. So you can see by default job seeker was true. So we are getting the job seeker form. If we click over here, you can see forms are getting changed. Right. Let's just add some spacing. It is getting attached to that buttons. So after this, PB2 we can add so that we can have some space at the bottom. Right. Now it is looking fine. Now, just like that, we just need to create another function for API call. So in service, I will just copy paste this. Now register function name will be for a job seeker. Right. And API endpoint we need. So API endpoint is add new job seeker. So I will copy this. So this is the method name, which I have to put it over here. That's it. Remaining will be same. I mean, registration component, again, the same thing. Just function name will be different, right? Register as job seeker, and object we need to send is job seeker object. That's it. So let's save and check if we are able to register as a job seeker. Okay, instead of company name, it should be full name. So let's just change that. right? So let's say Sachin Tendulkar as my first name, email sachin@gmail.com, mobile number, let's enter dummy mobile number, then experience, let's keep it as experience, resume URL, let's keep it as a blank for now, right? On click of register, we should see an API call. Okay, we are getting an error. So because we haven't sent whole object or not sure, so let's just send the whole object. So job scale, we will send an empty object, empty array over here. Then second field was job seeker work experience. Let's try now. Experience. Okay, so you can see if after sending all the properties, our registration API is working. So registration success, username will be your email ID and password will be your mobile number, right? So by default, username and password is getting created, right? So both registration and the job seeker part is done. Next part is login, right? So let's create a login page. Let's just see login template HTML CSS and let's try to find a login page suitable for our application. Just need a simple one. Registration form, registration form. Let's use this. Okay, it is navigating over here. It is asking us to download. Let's see the simple one. Yeah, let's use this. On the code when it has all the code. So let's just copy the HTML and put it into our login component. Right, so this was our HTML. So let's copy that. In our login component, we need to paste the HTML. So this is our login component. Let's paste our HTML. Footer we don't need. So sign in is there and create account we don't need. So let's remove that. Let's remove this H2. Now on click in the navbar, we had the login button, right? So on click of that, we need to navigate. So just like register on login, we need to navigate to the login page. So this is our route, that is login. Let's put it over here. Let's file, save all. Let's see how does login page work. It won't look good because we haven't copied the CSS. Let me copy this. Let's paste it into the login component.css. Now here we have the body, but we don't have body. So let's make it a parent class, and this class we will add to a parent div. Before this, we will add a parent, and we can move whole code inside that parent so that it will act as a body for that. Let's save and check it. Yes. So you can see now login page is coming fine, right? So now let's check the login API. So login API only will be only single. It won't be separate for job seeker and the employer. One login API, just based on the credentials you pass, you will get the detail, whether it can be employer or the job seeker, right? So this is a login API and this is an object which we have to send. So let's create that object now in .ts login obj:any equal to our object. Now let's bind this to our form. So this is our form, square bracket, round bracket ng model login object dot properties username. So this will go over here just like that. Password is there. So for that also we need ng model. That's it. So since our elements are inside the form tag, so name property will be mandatory. So we just need to add name equal to, we can use the same field what we have used over here. Let's copy, paste. Right. Now on click of sign button, we need to make the API call. So again, click on login is the function. Let's create this function. So this video is going to be long, right? Because so many functionalities are there. Now coming back to HTML service again, right? So we have created object, we have binded that object to the form. We need to make the API call. So in service, let me just copy paste. Let's say login. Now our API endpoint login is the API endpoint. So login. All the APIs are post only because we are sending the object. So again, this okay. So constructor is missing. Constructor private job service, right? So we have created object of our job service. Then this dot job service dot a function we are going to call is login. We need to send the object. So this dot login object dot subscribe round bracket result colon any arrow function, and here again that if statement res dot result. If it is true, we can say user is successfully logged in, right? So alert user logged in success. Else we can show whatever the message we get from the API side, right? So res dot message. That's it. So let's check. Let me just show you what we have created two users, right? So let's just see the passwords for them. Any project, this is my database I'm using. So job portal users. So this was a user for employer. This was the user for WI, the Wipro we have created, right? So this was a username. So let's try this. Username and password is this. So it was a combination of your GST number and the mobile number for employer. So when you register, you will get that message like this will be your username and this will be your password name, right? So on click of sign in, what is impending? Yeah, so object is correct. It is taking time. Yeah, so it took some time. So in result, you can say result is true, user found successfully. And in data, we have got the particular user data. So if I expand that, you can see this was for Wipro, right? So we have got the employer ID, job seeker ID will be null. Password we have got, user ID, username, user role as employer, everything we have got, right? So user logged in successfully, we are showing, right? So if user is logged in, we have to hide this and we have to navigate also somewhere, right? So let's write that code. Once user is successfully logged in, first we have to store the data we have got for that particular user in the local storage. So set item, right? We need to store the data. Job login user. Our key will be like this. Then while storing the data, we need to store with, we are going to store the object, but while storing the data into the local storage, we need to convert it in the string. So JSON.stringify is the method, and we need to pass res.data over here. Then we need to navigate also. So we can navigate to the landing page, means home page. So we have to navigate from function. So we have to create instance of our router. And here this dot router dot navigate by URL, and we need to pass our URL, that will be home. Right, so alert will be on the first line. Then we are going to store the data, then we are going to navigate. So let's save and check everything is working fine or not now. Let's try the same detail. Let's try another now. Email ID. This will be my username. Let's try on click of sign in. Let's add 23 number debugger. Continue. So not sure why login API is taking some time, but I will check. Right. So you can see result is true, and we have got the in result.data, we might have got the Sachin's data, right? So you can see now he is a job seeker. So you can see employer ID is null and job seeker ID we have got, right? So whole data we are going to store into local storage. So if we check application and local storage, currently we don't have anything, but once that line runs, we can see our data getting stored. Now in the application, you can see job login user and whole data we have stored. Then we are redirecting to the home page, right? But we know that user is logged in, right? How can we know that user is logged in if in the local storage we have this key? So this button should be hidden now, right? If user is logged in, we should show the username or the logout button, right? So for that, in the app component, we have to write just a small code. So in the app component, let's remove this, is logged in flag we can create with boolean. By default we can make it as a false. Then in constructor we can check local storage if we have a data in the local storage or not. User data local storage dot get item. So while storing the data in the local storage, we have created a key that is job login user. This we have to use it over here. So we are simply checking like if in local storage we have the data under this key. So if we have the data, we won't get it, we will get it, otherwise it will be null. So if equal to null means user is not logged in, right? So then we will make this variable true. Right? Now this variable we can use in the HTML over the both the buttons star ng if. So this button will be visible if this variable is false or not. Same like that, this also registration button will also be visible if it is false. Again, we will need one button that will be for logout. If it is true, means user is logged in. So instead of this, it will be log off. And we need to show the username also, right? So before the button, we can show just the username. Now, this variable was responsible to check like user is logged in or not. Then we need to store the logged in detail also. So user info colon any, right? If it is null, then it is going to this if block. We will need to add else block. If user data is not null, means in local storage we have got the data, means user is logged in, then we need to parse the result, because while storing the data, we have stored in we have converted the data into string. When we are retrieving and we need to store that into again the object, we need to convert it back. So JSON dot parse is a method. So JSON dot parse will convert string data into again object, right? So this user data we need to pass it over here, and the user info variable we will use in the interpolation. User info dot username, this property we need to show, right? So let's save and check. Now we should see the username and the logout button. No, username is visible, but logout button is also visible. Something is not right. So by default, we have made this variable false. Is user logged in? So we need to make it false. If it is null means false, and in else block we need to make it true. Let's check now. Right. So now it is looking proper. Right. So this is how we have done. Let's see for button. If we have a button with non-color, right? So button link we can use so that name is coming at the top, right? So instead of directly interpolating, we can just make use of the button and adding this class. On the button, we will print it, and this button link class, I will add it over here. Let's save and check. Right. So you can see logged in user we are able to see, and log off button also. On log off, we just need to clear the local storage, right? So on click of it, on log off button, this is nothing but we navigate to the some another page and we clear the local storage. Means user is not logged in now. So in this function, we just have to clear local storage dot remove item, and we have to pass this key, and we know that user is not logged in, so we can make this variable false again. That's it. So let's check this also one more time. By save all. So currently in the local storage, you can see the data is there. But if I say log off now, you can see local storage data also got removed, and again login and registration button is visible. So our registration part and the login part is done. So this was the first part of our application, right? Now, second part, on the home page, we need to show the jobs, right? The template we have decided. Let me just open that project. Let me just go to the HTML template, YouTube, Naukri app, this index page, right? So let me just open that. I will open it in the new tab. Now home page, we are going to start work. So index. So this is the code we are going to need for the home tab. So I will copy it and I will paste it into the home component. Right. So let's save and check how does the home component look now. Right. So you can see we have the same home page active now. Now here what we are going to do. Let's see if we have the API to search the job. So I think I don't have it right now, but I will create get all job listing. Right. So we can do one thing. On click of search, we are going to simply navigate to the job page. Okay. And whatever the jobs we have, we are going to show that over there. Right. So again, after you will find currently I don't have that API ready, but I will make it. Right. So where do we have that search button? Yeah. So this is the search button. Instead of site submit, let's make it button. Now here we just need to navigate, right? So we can use RouterLink slash. We have to navigate on click of search button. We have to navigate to the jobs page. So let's provide jobs page over here. Let's save and check if it is navigating. So on click of search button, you can say we are successfully navigating to the jobs page. Now here is the first functionality. We have to show all the jobs we have, right? So get active job listing. This is the API which we have to use, right? So one more flag is there in the job. When we create a job, we have some flags. So only one job is there. Before that, let's create an employee first so that we will have a page from where we can create a job, right? So create new job listing is the API. So if logged in user is an employer, so he can create a job. For creating job, these are the fields it needs. So let's log in as an employer. So let's log in as a Wipro. This is a username, password, sign in. User logged in success. Why buttons are not hidden? Okay, so once we log in also, then we need to fire that. Okay, fine. So now we need jobs page, right? So this is the content we have for the jobs. This will I will copy paste in my jobs component in HTML. Let's file and save all so that we will have the HTML. Okay, somewhere div is missing. Let me just see. Something is wrong. Let me check hot. This is an anchor tag. Anchor tag is over here. So we just need to close that. Yeah, so now it is looking fine. On click of search, yes. So you can see we have got that job page. Currently it is a static HTML. Now we need to make it dynamic, right? So before that, the logged in user is now Wipro. So if logged in user is an employer, we need to show one page. We need to show one link that will be create jobs, right? So in app component where we have the link, if logged in user is there, now we need to store the roles also, right? So in user info, we have stored whole data. Now, instead of services, create new job. Okay. Now this li tag will be visible only if logged in user role is employer. So let's check the local storage, like what is the exact spelling of that employer role. Application, right? So here you can see in user role employer is there. So if user info dot user role equal to employer. So let me just copy that. So this link will be visible only if role logged in user role is employer, right? So create new job. And once it is there, we need to navigate also. So router link and create new job. This is a route. Let's just see if it is successful or not. Right. So on click of create new job, we are landing to the create new job portal. Now, so for create new job, these are the fields we have. So job name, that is nothing but job title. Created date, it will be auto populated. We don't have to send. Employer ID, we will get it from the local storage, logged in user ID. Category ID. So category ID is nothing but we have some categories. So get all job category, like what kind of category does this job part, right? So human resources, marketing and communication, engineering, IT, security, UX design, teaching and training. Some job categories are there. So that will go over there. Then experience, are we looking for a fresher or the experience? Package, what package we are going to offering, location, for which particular location we are going to hire, and job description, and is active and false. So this is the object. So before that, let's create the form. So I will again just use the registration form which we have created, just like the same structure is there. So this whole div I will use. Let's close all. In create new job. So this is the HTML. Let's paste it. We don't need this flag or itself div. We don't need. Let's keep this. Right. Now we need to create an object. So object is nothing but this object. So I will copy this object for create new job. So job obj colon any, right? Let's, instead of created the static date, we can pass the new date, means current date, right? So on the front end, we don't need to bind that experience package string, right? So our object is ready. Now we can just replace in one go by search and replace employee object with this, right? Let's just bind the things what we have. Job name, instead of company name, we need to bind the job name. So let me just do that. Then employee ID and category ID we need to bind, right? So category ID, it will be drop down. Let me just bind it for now. Experience, again, it will be also drop down, but I'm just keeping it. Package. Let me just bind, then we will design some proper form. And job description. Job description will be text area. Let me just remove that, and it will be text area over here. Let's save. Right. So we have got the form. Let's just design proper form now. Class container I will add. Then we can show a heading h3, create new job post, right? So proper form is going to be there. So first is we are not going to need this much big text box. So let's make it small. Instead of, okay, formula outline we have it. So instead of, let's take row column. Call MD 4 is sufficient. So let's make it 4 only. Okay, so job name is there. Job title, right? Then category. Now, category is coming from another API. So that is nothing but this. So on the page load, we need to call this API. So in service, first we have to create the function for API call. So now this is a get API call. So get all category, that is nothing but job category. So this dot http dot get, right? So just we need to pass this, and API endpoint we have already in our variable. That's it. And return from keyword. Now this API call we have to do on the page load. Now on the page load, we have to make the API call. So we have to implement the ngOnInit lifecycle. So ngOnInit, sorry, onInit, we have to import. Then we are going to implement it. And ngOnInit, right? So let me just format it. Now we will create one more function, get job categories. So this dot, okay. So obviously, again, we are going to create a constructor, and that service object we have to create. So private job service colon job service, right? And whatever the data we are going to get from that API, we need to store it also. So category list, any array is equal to empty array, right? So here this dot job service dot get all category, that we have to subscribe result colon any, right? So whatever the response we are going to get from this API, we need to store that into the category list. So res dot data, because in data we are going to get the data. Now this API, this function we are going to call on the page load, means in ngOnInit function, right? So on the page load, we are going to make this API call, and whatever the data we get, that we are going to store into this variable. Now this variable, we will bind it to the dropdown on the category. Mobile, there was category, yeah, here only. So now instead of text box, we need dropdown, OPT as a placeholder, selected, select job category. Then again, we will have one option that will be dynamic. So here star ngFor let category of our variable name. Then property binding. So value we need to bind with job category ID. So category dot, let's check the property name, what we are going to get, that is job category ID. So always try to copy paste the properties you get from the API. If you do the spelling mistake, then you won't be able to get the proper data, right? So in interpolation, we need to show the job category name. Category dot our category name, right? Now this thing will go over drop down. Let's remove this. So first option was done. This is select category. Then we have experience also. Experience is again is a drop down only. So, but it will be a static option. So we don't need this. Same we have created in home component, so that only we can use. Sorry, in registration component we have done. These two options we can use over here. Right, instead of experience job, this will go over here. Let's remove this. So two things are done. Job title, job name, job title was done. Category is done. Experience is also done. Package. Let's see how does it look now. Then we will just redesign the form a little bit. Right. So job category. Yeah. So you can see whatever the data we have got from API that is visible over here. This was a static drop down. Right. Then what thing was there? Then package. Package. Then location. Package and location, we can keep it in a one row. Let's move it. Let's add it over here. 4 and location will be 4. And then the address. So let's save. Right. So job title will be like this. Then job category we will select. We are hiring for a fresher or experience. Package we are going to pass like 2 to 3 lakhs or anything. Location, the city we are looking for. It can be multiple comma separator we can add. And the job description. So it is job description. You can add an editor also over here, because if you see Naukri, we can have some bold, italic or anything. But just to limit the time, I'm keeping it as a simple text area, right? And on click of, instead of this, create job button. Now on this button click, we are going to make the API call. So click event, create job function. Let's create this function into .ts now. Right now, we need to check the API. So create job listing. This is the API name. Right. So again, we have to go to service. We have to create one more service that is going to be post API. So I will just copy, paste. Now our API endpoint name is create job listing. This will go over here, create new job. Right. Now this function we have to call from this function. So this dot job service dot create new job. We need to pass the job object, then subscribe result colon any Again, if statement, if result dot result is true, we can show alert post created success, and in else we can show the error message we get from the error API only. So res dot message, right? Let's save and let's check if API we are able to create the job or not. Okay, one more thing, we have to pass, we have to read the data, right? So employer ID was missing. So employer ID we can read in the constructor. So same thing, what we have did in the app component, we have to read the local storage and everything. Same thing we are going to need. Let me just copy this. Let's paste it in the constructor. Instead of this, not equal to null, we can add. Right. So what we have did is we have read the data from the local storage. If not equal to null, we are again going to parse that constant data. Right. So in data, we have got the actual parsed object, and this dot job object dot employer ID. So employer ID, we don't have anything in the form, right? So that employer ID means logged in user ID. So that we need to read it from here. So data dot, let's check in the local storage what property we had. Application. Employer ID. So let's copy, let's paste it over here. So in job object, everything we have done. Remaining things we have kept it in the form. So let's save and check. Let's try to create a job now. So if you see currently in the get active job listing, we just have one job, right? So .NET full stack developer. Now if we create, we should see one more, right? And one that flag is active, true flag is there, right? So let's go to Naukri and let's try to get the data from there only. IT jobs. Let's try this. So this is my job title name. So let me copy this. This is my job title name. Then I'm hiring for these locations. I will copy. Locations will be over here. And this is going to be IT and information security or software, right? Job category, let's say fresher. Then package, what they have sent the package or not? Not mentioned. So let's mention 425 LPA, right? And then description we need to add. So description is nothing but this. So I will just copy it and paste it over there, right? So everything we have done. Let's check the API call now. On click create job. Yeah, okay, we have got error. Might be the length of the character. Let's just reduce a little bit. Let's try once again. If we are able to create, no, still error is coming. Why? Let's check the object. So category ID is going, created date is also, employer ID is also going, pressure is going, job description is there, job name is also there. Location might be the problem. Let's just add one city because in database I might have the restriction. Let's create, right? So location was the problem, right? So you can see post created successfully. Now let's go over here and let's try one more time. Now we should get two jobs, right? So you can see two jobs are there. Okay, so we have created, we are done with the registration, login. If user logged in user is employer, so we are able to show the, we are able to create the job also. But here in the job, we should get the company name. That is not coming. Let's check another API because In the job page, we need to show the company detail also, na, like that, this company name, but that is not coming. Just employer ID is coming. So with employer ID, we need to show the company name and the logo also. So let me just change the API first. So I have changed the API and deployed it again. Now let's check get active job listing. We should get everything properly now. Okay, so now object have completely changed. So job name I'm getting, package, experience, location, category name, right? What is the job category, logo URL, company name, and job ID. So these are the things we are going to get, right? Let me just create 2 or 3 more jobs so that we can have proper data to show in the jobs page. So I have created some jobs for various employers. So you can see for Infosys I have created, then for TCS I have created, then for Wipro also we have created, and one last one the Infosys. Now, so this is for jobs, create job is done. Now, if we log off and logged in as a job seeker, so let's log in with searching. Password and the continue user logged in success. Right. So currently logged in with job seeker. So you can see we don't get that create job now. If we search and go to the land jobs component, we need to get active job listing. So this API we have to call, and whatever the jobs we have, that we are going to show it over here. Currently that filtering part is not done, but I will create that API. Then you can just use that another API and you need to pass the parameter. But for now, we will just bind this API. Right. So this is the static data. We need to just make it dynamic. So this is an API call. So I will just copy this. And in the service, we have to create one new service. So I will just, that is a get API call. So it will be over here. Get active jobs function I will be creating. And this is a method I will need. That's it. Right. So in service, we have created an API call for that function for that API call. Now in our jobs component, we need to make that API call. So in job component, first we need to create constructor, bracket private. What do we have? Job service. Right. Now, again on the page load, we need to do this thing. So again, on init, we are going to need implements on init. Once we implement, we need to implement ngOnInit also, right? A function to make the API call load jobs. And here we are going to get job service dot get all active jobs. Same thing is going to be over and over again, but just the API call is there, right? Create a function in the service call and make that API call over here. Now, from this API call, we are going to get the data, right? So we need to store that. Why it is giving error? Okay, right. So job list, any array empty. So whatever the response we get from this API that we are going to store in this variable. So res.data equal to. Why it is saying like that? Oh, this was not supposed to be here. Dot. Let me just type it. Dot subscribe, round bracket, result colon any. This dot job list is equal to res dot data. And this function we will make on the ngOnInit, so that on the page load, we will make that API call. Right. Now we are going to get the active jobs in this variable. So over here, so call 12 is the thing that we are going to iterate. So let me just remove the remaining thing. On call 12, we are going to use star in or call 12 instead of we can make it on the row only. ngFor let job of job list. Right now we just need to bind the things. So first is job title. So here it will be job title. So job dot, let's see what things we have. Job name. Right. Then we need to show the company name. So job dot, let's see, company name. Right. Then we need to show the company logo also. So that will be property binding to this image tag. So job dot logo URL. This we have to bind it over here. Right. After that, experience. Right. So instead of job dot, do we have the experience or not? Yes, we have experience package. Whatever the static thing, we are just making it dynamic now. So job dot package is there and location. Do we have the location? Yes. So job location is done. After that, what do we have? Detail, right? So now we can show the limited job description over here. So job dot description. Okay, so we haven't shown the job. We haven't got the job description over here, but let's show the job name. In next build, I will send the job description as well. And dot, we will use splice pipe. Splice 0, let's say 10 character we will show. After that, dot dot dot. What else we have? Few hours ago we can emit, or let it be like that. Let's file save all. Now in the job page, we should see all the jobs. Okay, so you can see in TCS 4 jobs are there. Then after that TCS vPro, like that we have. Let's just add some spacing in between. So on the row, we can add PT2 so that we will have some spacing in between. Right, so you can see job is visible now. This is taking so much space because PA is coming at the bottom. Let's just try if we can manage that. Instead of this, container fluid is there, container, again that container is there. We don't need this div. Let's see. Now we should have extra space. Yeah, now it is coming proper. So you can see job title, company logo, company name, fresher or experience, package, location. Then here description will come. Currently I have binded just the title name. Let's just increase that little bit. Let's make it 50. Right. So the first part is done. We have shown the jobs. If I click on this particular job, it should navigate to the job detail. Now it is navigating, right? So, but when we navigate, we have to navigate with the job ID also. Whatever the job we have to navigate like that, right? So we just need to change in the route. Now our job detail, this component will be with the navigation, right? The job detail will have one parameter, that is query parameter. So that will be /:job ID, right? So whenever we navigate to the job detail page, we have to navigate with query parameter. That will be job ID. So now coming back to job component, we have the click event right over here. So now we don't need the anchor tag, but let's keep that as it is or remove it href with href Let's altogether remove this href anchor tag. We don't need that. Because on the div only we can write the click event, right? So on the anchor tag or on the card also we can write. So on this row, we can write a click event. So click event, navigate or open job. And we need to pass job ID. So job dot job ID we need to pass. Let's create this function. Now, from this function, we need to navigate, right? So from the front end, we are going to get the job ID so that we will catch it over here. ID colon number, right? So we are going to navigate from the .ts. So obviously we are going to need the router service, so private router colon router. So now here this .router dot navigate. Now instead of navigate by URL, we can use navigate, and for navigate we can pass an array with two parameters. First parameter will be our URL, that means job detail. This is our query, route name. Then second parameter will be our ID, so that will go over here. Let's save and check if we are successfully able to navigate to that particular job. So let's say if I click on angular.net, you can see 12 is over here. Let's go back. Let's try with this. 10 is there. So you can see whenever we navigate, we have some different ID. This is nothing but job ID. Now, on this particular job detail component, we need to read that also. Whatever the ID we have, I mean query parameter we have in the URL, we need to read that. So to read that in the job detail component, we need to create activated route service instance. So private activated route colon activated route, right? And inside the constructor, we will just subscribe to the parameter. So this dot activated route dot params dot subscribe any. Here I will just add the debugger, and we will create one variable active job ID colon number is equal to by default 0. And whatever the response we get, that we will store in this variable. Active job ID is equal to res dot job ID we will get. What is the URL we have? Job ID in small case, so that we will get it over here. Let's just save and see. Right, so currently in the URL we have 12 as a job ID. So let's reload and check. So here you can see in the result, we have got job ID as 12, right? So that we are going to store in this variable, right? So now on the page load, we have to get the particular job information, everything, right? So for that also I had that other page already HTML is developed. So I will just copy that job detail. Let's copy the HTML part. Let's paste it into the HTML of that component. Let's save all and check it now. Right. So once we get the job ID, after that we need to make API call. Now API call will be a API where I will be sending the job ID and I should get all the job information of that job. So that is create new job listing. If you see the API call get, I have the API call or not. Update job listing, create job listing. Yeah, get job listing by ID. So currently we have 12, right? So let's try that. 12, execute. Right, so you can see all the job information we have got. Here we got the job description and everything. So this is the API call. Let's go to service. Let's create another function. This is get API call. Just URL is dynamic. URL dynamic means just the parameter we have to send. So this is the parameter URL along with parameter question mark job ID equal to. So this will be static. After that, a parameter will be there, that is job ID colon number. And this job ID we need to pass after this plus concatenation. That's it. So our function is ready. So on the page load, sorry, not here, on the job detail. Once we get the job ID, after that we need to make the API call. So now here ngOnInit won't work. We don't have to call on the page load. Once we read the data from the query string, then only we need to make. So I will create a function get job detail. This, okay, one more thing, we need to create the service object. So private job service colon job service. So this dot job service dot get job detail. Function name get job listing by ID. And for this function, we need to pass the ID. So that is nothing but active job ID. We will pass it over here. Dot subscribe round bracket result colon any. Now, whatever the response we get, that we need to store into the variable. So job obj colon any, right? So response we get, that we are going to store it over here. So this dot job is equal to res capital R dot data, right? So now this thing, whatever the job information we had, that we just need to show it into the readable format. So same thing, interpolation we have to do job object dot, let's see what things we get. Job name, okay, so here again we are not getting the company name, but I will send it in the API. So employer ID is only coming, just like the job active job listing. Here also I have to change. Now the experience, so some things I will keep it like that only. For now employer ID I will show. Once you check the video, API will be changed and you will get company detail also over here. Just like the image also you will get. Experience, let me just make this change. Experience. Then package and then location. Here also will be like that. And here, instead of this ULLI, I will be pasting the whatever the content we get in the interpolation. So job object dot description, right? I haven't implemented the editor. So if you have implemented the editor, so you need to bind that using inner HTML. So with property binding, you can do that, right? So let's save and check if we can see the proper data. Okay, something is not correct. I think question mark we have to add, right? So undefined error is coming, that because we have to add the null injector object. So question mark like this. Let's save and check it now. Because on the page load, we don't have anything in that object, right? So it will break. Still it is breaking. No, it is not breaking, but we are not going to get the data also. Why? Let's check on the API call. Okay, so API call we have did, but we haven't called that, right? So in the constructor, once we have got the data, then we have to make this function call like that. Don't make this API call in the ngOnInit, because we have to initiate this API call once we get the data into this. So this is the right place to initiate that API call. Let's check it now. Now we should get that data. Right? So you can see the data is visible. Let's go back. Let's try this. Let me just change the API. So the API we were talking is get job listing by ID. And so this is the API. Okay, so whatever the data I got, I have simply send it back. Now instead of that, I need to make a join. I will just pause the video for now. So I have changed the object. Now we get the company name, logo, URL, and everything, company address and email ID also. So let's bind that also so we can see the proper data or in the job detail component. So instead of this static, we just need to bind job object dot logo URL. This will go over here. And here also, instead of employer ID, we need to show company name. Let's save and check if we are going to get the proper data. Yes, so now you can see we have got the logo and everything, right? Now, one more thing we need to do. Now, registration is done, login is done, job listing. In the employer login, we have created the job also. In the job seeker login, we are able to see all the jobs. We are able to open the particular job. Now we have to apply all also. Now, if you can see, if user is already logged in, we need to write the same logic, whatever we have written over here. Like if user is already logged in, we need to show the apply button, right? So same code, what we have written over here, we need that. So first we need to read the data from the local storage. So here I will paste it. User info object we will create, right? If logged in also, this also we will create. Same logic to check like user is logged in or not. Let me just format, right? So if user is logged in, where is that button? Right. So if user is logged in, then if user is not logged in, then only we will show this button with false, right? But if user is logged in, then we need to show apply button only. Sorry, we have the already button. So if it is false, we will show login to apply, login to apply button. If user is already logged in, we will show the login button. So that will be with not. So let's save and check. So you can see if currently user is logged in, so we are going to get the apply button. Now let's log off, but still it is because we have to reload. That functionality I will explain at the end. Something is breaking. Let me just check. Cannot read user role. Okay, in the app component also we have to add that question mark. So here, question mark. Let's save and check. Right. So now, if we open any job, we will see the login to apply button, right? Now this button also redirect to that login page. So this will be RouterLink hash login button. Right. So let's say user is not logged in, but without login also, as you can see over here also, without login also, we can check all the jobs. But if I click on login, then it will redirect to the login page. Here we have the model pop-up, but in our application, we have the separate page, right? Now, let's try to log in again. Now just apply part is remaining. So we will complete that and then it's almost over. Sign in. Logged in is done. Right. So jobs, let's open this. Now apply button is visible. Now on click of apply, we have one API that we need to hit. That is send job application. Now for this API, we just need to send job ID, means this, whatever we have in the URL, then job seeker ID, the data from the local storage, and the apply date and the application status we don't have to send, right? But just we can pass the parameters over here. Now in the job detail, We just need to create one more object that will be job application obj. Right. So job seeker ID we are going to get from the local storage. So that will be over here. So this dot job application dot job seeker ID equal to this dot user info dot, let's check the local storage, what property we have. Application job seeker ID, this property we have to bind it over here, right? Then job ID also we need to bind. Job ID will be over here dot job ID, whatever we get from the query parameter. So this dot active job ID. So two details already we have filled in the object. Now on the button click, we just need to, okay, here we can send new. On the button click, we just need to send this object, right? So where we have the button, apply button, right? So here we just need to make an API call. So click, apply. Let's create this function. Right. So we need to create a service call in the job service, right? So that will be post. So let me just copy, let's post it. Let's check the URL for that. That is send job application. That's it. Now this API call we need to make. So this dot job service dot send job application. We need to pass the object. So this dot job application object dot subscribe round bracket result colon any, and again if statement if res dot result, if result is success, we can show alert box like you have successfully applied to the job. But if we have the error, then we can show it in the else blocks. So else, whatever the message we get from the alert box, sorry, from the API, that we are going to show. Capital R is there. So let's make it capital R. Let's save and check if we are able to make the API call. Right. So currently user is logged in, so we can make the API call. Okay, this we can skip. On click of login, now we should see one API call. Right, you have successfully applied to the job. Let's check the object. In the payload, you can see job ID is also going, whatever we have in the URL. Job seeker ID, the data we have got from the login, which we have stored in the local storage. Right now, this job seeker, Sachin has already applied to this job. But if I try to apply it again, now I will get the error like you have already applied to this job, right? So this is how the same functionality is there in the Naukri portal also. Now, job seeker has applied to this particular job. Now, this application, whatever the various users has applied, that we need to show into the employer login, right? So there, let's check job application, get all job application. So execute. Some APIs are taking some time to processing. I will check like what are the joins and everything is there, which is taking time. Right. So you can see these are the various job applications we have. So this was the latest job application we have did. Right now, in employer login, let's log off and log in with employer. which job we have added. I think for Infosys we have added, right? So this was an Infosys job 11. Yeah, Infosys job. So let's check the Infosys login. So Infosys login was with employer 5. So this was the Infosys login. Let me just log in with Infosys. Password. So we are logged in with Infosys, which is an employer. So you can see create job is there. Now, just like that, we will add one more option to see the applications. What are the job applications we have got? So in the job listing, we can show the applications we have received. First, in the job listing, we will show all the job listing he has created. And once we open, we will show the applications he has received for that job. So in job listing, first we need to add the navigation link. So I will just copy this. And job listing route we will check. This is a job listing. This will go over here. Job listing. Right. So if the logged in user is employer, he will see two extra link, create new job and the job listing. Let's see. Yes. So in the job listing page, we have to show all the job that particular logged in employer has created. So that will be, we will have one more API, that is, we have it or not, get job listing by ID, get all job listings. So we don't have API where we need to pass the employer ID, then we can get the all jobs created by him. Job seeker ID, get active job, get all job listing, get application by job ID, get all job application, get application by job seeker ID. Right. So we will need one more API. So let's just create that quickly. Let me just pause it for the API part. So let's reload and check. I have created that API where we can pass the employer ID and we will get the job created by that particular employer. So that API will be get jobs by employer ID. So let's say employer ID is 5. That will be Infosys. So let's see what data. Yeah. So you can see these are the jobs which were created by Infosys. Now we need to make this API call on the page load of that my listing. And we need to pass the employer ID from the local storage. So here, before that, first we need to create the service, right? So it will be like this. Get API is going to the bear. So I will copy this, paste it. This will be my function name. Same over here, employer ID over here, so that our URL will be dynamic. Then instead of job ID, it will be employer ID. And this we have to pass over here, right? So on the page load of job listing, we need to call this API. Again, same thing, constructor, private, job service, right? Again, we are going to need the data from the local storage. So let's just copy that code to read the data. This will go over here. Logged in user data we are going to need. Not equal to null. Same code will go over here. We don't need the else block. User info is the variable we are going to need. Instead of boolean, it will be any. That's it, right? Right. So on the constructor, we are trying to read the data from the local storage. Then let's create that function. Get jobs by employer round bracket. So this dot job service dot get job listing by employer ID and we need to pass this dot job info. In that variable, we will have all the data from the local storage. Let's check where we have the employer ID, application, employer ID. This we have to pass. Then dot subscribe, round bracket, result, colon any. Right. So whatever the jobs we are going to get for this particular job ID, particular employee ID, we need to store it somewhere. So job list colon any array of objects. So that's like this. So response, whatever we get, we are going to store into this variable. Right. And this function call, we are going to make it from here. Because once we get the job user info, then only we need to make the API call. Now this data we will show into the table format, just to keep it simple. So dot row dot call 12 table or card, anything you can use, but just to save the time, I'm using table. Right, then T head, inside that TR, then TH, serial number, then some things we will show like job title, category we will show, what things we are getting. Let's check. Package experience, some things we will show, package experience, location. Right, so this was a T head, then we will need T body. In T body, we will have TR and for loop on the TR. So star ngFor let job of job list. So that array variable, we have to pass it over here. Then TD, so serial number. So that's why after this, let SR is equal to index. And here SR plus 1, because index will start from 0. Then TD, and inside that, so then job, not what are the things we get, job name. Let me just copy paste. Then experience, what are the things we have in that same manner we need to show. Category we are getting or not. Yeah, category we are getting. Second was category, then package, then experience. So package, experience, and then lastly location. Right. And one more, like to open, sorry, action button will be there. And here in the last day, we will have a button to open that particular job. So button class btn open. Let's save and check if we are able to see the proper jobs now. Yes, so you can see jobs created by Infosys are visible over here, right? Let's try to log off and let's try to log in with Wipro. Now we should see another jobs created by Wipro only. Sign in, login success, job listing. You can see Wipro has created only 2 jobs, so that are visible over here. Right, let's log in with again Infosys only. Job listing, right? Now, Once we open, right, we need to show the jobs also. So on that open click, we need to make an API call that will be get applications by job ID, right? So whatever the job applications we have got, let me see, job applications. This is the table where we store the data once we apply. So job ID 11, right? So 11 is there or not? It is taking so much time. Yeah, so for job ID 11, we just had received one application, that is this Sachin Tendulkar. So that we can show in the model pop-up or anywhere, right? So that's it. So this was a complete flow of a job portal app, from registration, login, creating job, applying job, right? And seeing the job applications we have received, everything we have covered, right? So I will live this application on my GitHub pages only. So you can see the live versions API I have already explained. Hope this video was helpful to you, right? Try to implement the same and put it in your resume or CV on the GitHub also, so that interviewer will get to know, like, yes, you have working knowledge of how job portal work, right? So that's it with the current video. Please do like and subscribe.